Corporate Eagle is a private membership only fractional ownership, and we're also an aircraft management company as well. Our fractional ownership program is really the bread and butter of the business, and that's where we bring our members together that purchase or lease a share of an aircraft based on the amount of days per year that they require. And we're a full membership service for them, so we give them that whole ownership type experience with their membership here at Corporate Eagle. The aircraft management services business kind of tags along with the fractional ownership business, because as their needs grow, eventually you get to a point where you can justify an entire aircraft, and a lot of times they don't want to leave the facility, the service that they're accustomed to at that time.
Makes a ton of sense, and it'll be fun to kind of unpack all that as we kind of get deeper in the interview. Sure. So walk us through, how did this company get started? When did it get started? And walk us through kind of that journey up into 2020.
Great. Well, that's a great story, actually, because Rick Niney, who's our chairman and CEO, is the founder of our company. And he was actually a corporate pilot flying for Volkswagen of America. And he was in the middle of taking an aircraft down to maintenance one time with the CFO on board. And the CFO said, wouldn't it be great if we could bring together local companies in the area to share the asset of a private aircraft? And so Rick went ahead about right then and there and started to pioneer the fractional ownership concept, which looked a little different than what it does today. But that was it. In 1982, he left his flying job and was full-time with Tradewinds Aviation, taking over a pilot school as well. We started with the flight training business at the same time that he was ramping up the executive travel program.
Got it.
So that went to about March of 2008 when we rebranded to Corporate Eagle and really focused into just private aviation and divested from the flight training business.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. So the founder of the company, Rick Niney, he was a pilot to begin with, right? Yes. And so you guys did some training, and now walk us through this fractional ownership, the concept behind it, because the first time I learned about it, I said, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because there's a lot of people out there, maybe in the past, that would own a jet, but with owning a jet comes maintenance, comes, you gotta put it somewhere, right?
That's right.
You gotta take care of it.
That's right.
You take all of that and created a program where now people can buy into owning a jet and not have to worry about the headache of actually owning the jet. Is that kind of how it works?
That is correct. When you buy an aircraft outright, you end up in the aircraft management business, whether you like it or not. And a lot of folks don't really meet the threshold of the annual flight hours to really justify an entire aircraft. So what we've done is, with fractional ownership, you can purchase or lease a share based on what you really need. So from 50 flight hours per year up to about 250 flight hours a year, there's this segment of the perfect fractional owner. And that's the most amount of your private flyers fall within that category of flight hours. And now they can just buy or lease a share of an airplane to get the whole ownership experience. And it really is like having a turnkey aircraft management company as well, because we provide the pilots, we provide the maintenance, we provide the facilities, the concierge service, the scheduling, everything from A to Z. I mean, we even wash and fuel our members' vehicles while they're on the road.
Phenomenal.
So when they arrive, their car's out there heated up or cooled down with a cold bottle of water in a cup holder.
I love it.
There's many other amenities that we provide our members here at Corporate Eagle with our facilities.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So, and actually that's a good segue into, I guess walk us through what that member experience is like from the time they say, hey, I want to travel to, let's just say, the Bahamas as an example. What does that look like? How do they schedule when they show up, when they arrive? Kind of walk us through what that could look like.
Sure. So we have our own scheduling team here, full-time scheduling team that's available to our members 24/7, 365. So it's just a matter of them either picking up the phone or sending us an email and requesting their aircraft. They can give us an address to the destination. Maybe they have to go and visit a facility, and they can give us the physical address of a facility that they need to visit, and we can find the nearest airport that we can access, which is going to be much more efficient than the large commercial airports. And, when they want to fly, where they want to fly, that's what we do for our members.
Got it.
And then from that point on, they show up, they drive right through the gate out onto the ramp to the air stair door. They board the aircraft and they fly to their destination with the Corporate Eagle professional flight crew in the cockpit.
That's phenomenal. That's so cool. So who is the ideal member for Corporate Eagle? Because I think you had mentioned one day off air that there's more and more people flying private now with COVID and that whole thing. And I want to talk about that in just a second.
Sure.
Who is your ideal member?
Our ideal member, we typically will start at if we're looking for a business, a revenue threshold of around 30 to 40 million a year.
Sure.
Or a locally based company is important because we're a locally based program. So as long as they have a presence here in Southeast Michigan, Southeast Michigan based and a need to travel, that's an ideal candidate. And these can be people that are frustrated with the lack of available commercial airline flights. They're concerned about flying with COVID right now, and they're just worried about whether or not they're going to be able to get there on time. Because we all know when you fly commercial, it's not the most pleasant experience, and it seems that year after year it gets even worse.
That's exactly right.
Lack of available flights, you might have to change aircraft, and your travel time takes much longer than it really should. When you have something to your disposal like an aircraft, a corporate aircraft, you can obviously have a lot more flexibility with your schedule.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. So how has the pandemic kind of impacted this business?
Well, it's interesting. Obviously, at first, when there was sort of a stop on travel, the flight hours definitely slowed down for us. But as we move through the pandemic, we've fielded a lot of new requests for people that want to learn more about private aviation.
Sure.
And of course, a lot of folks that were on the fence about flying private have now decided to make the leap because, again, they're worried about flying commercial. It's a lot of people. You're packing the airplanes full, and then there's all the other minor inconveniences that come along with it now with the masking and that. So, which we do have members that they still mask up when they fly. It's just being in the commercial airport in that public space that they're worried about. So
sure. That's
been an interesting dynamic to see how that plays out. And for the first time, as a salesman in this business, I'm actually receiving more phone calls than I ever had versus, calling people and
sure.
chasing them down for business.
And that's interesting. I think there's a lot of certain industries that have experienced that exact same thing through this pandemic that where many businesses are struggling. Some industries, and it sounds like this being one of them, you're seeing almost an influx of new potential business. Is that right?
We are. We have added more new members this year than we ever have to our program. The flight hours are coming back, but we still have a lot of members, existing members, that are a little concerned with, where can they fly?
Right.
There isn't many places that they normally go that are fully opened up right now, so that's probably more of the cause of the lag in the flight hours, but the membership level has definitely increased.
Yeah, that's good for you. Good for you. So let's talk about the planes. Let's talk about the fleet.
Okay.
So if someone joins the membership, what are the options from a fleet perspective?
So we have 3 aircraft types that we operate in our fractional ownership program. We have the King Air B200, we have the Hawker 900 XP, and then we have the Falcon 2000. The King Air B200s are smaller, light-duty mission aircraft. It's a great aircraft for a 500 to 700 mile mission, a great day trip, up north type of plane. You can fit 8 passengers on it still. It's a turboprop, but it's a very efficient aircraft in how it operates and relatively inexpensive on an hourly basis. The Hawker 900 XP, that's the mid-size cabin aircraft in our program. And again, really the bread and butter of our fleet. That's where we have the most amount of members in our program. And the 900 XP Hawker can hold 8 passengers, up to 9 on some of them. They have a belt and lav. And you can go from here to the West Coast nonstop.
Wow.
Any day of the week, any weather scenarios, it'll do it. So that's a really great airplane. The Hawker's been in our program in some variation for a very long time. We started with Hawker 700s, and then we graduated the 900 XPs, with the 800 XPs that were in the middle there along the way. So the Falcon 2000 now, that's our large cabin aircraft. So if you want to take longer trips, it has international capabilities. This Falcon 2000EX that's right behind us here will go from here to Berlin nonstop. So this helps us solve a need that some of our members have, that they need to go overseas.
Got it.
And it's a great way to do it. And it's also a very efficient aircraft that it'll perform very well domestically too. So it's not an aircraft that's overkill to take down to St. Louis or something like that, because it's a very efficient aircraft still at the same time.
Sure, makes a ton of sense. So how do how does Corporate Eagle go about acquiring the planes? What does that process typically look like?
Sure. So Rick Niney really heads that up for our company. He goes out and he looks for low time, single owner, good pedigree aircraft to bring into our program. Prior to the aircraft entering service, we will purchase that aircraft and we'll send it right to the maintenance facility where they'll do, like for a Hawker, for instance, we'll purchase that right before a 48-month inspection, which is a large inspection that requires the interior of the cabin to come out. So that's a great time to buy an aircraft because we do new paint, we do new interior, all new soft goods, and we can deliver that aircraft online for our members. New paint, new interior, all the latest in cockpit renovations and upgrades, the latest in cabin entertainment technology with GoGo Wi-Fi, 4G Wi-Fi, GoGo Vision. And so now the aircraft comes online for our members. It really is like a new aircraft for our members to begin to fly.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
At a great price point for them too, because of how we purchased the aircraft and brought it into our program.
Phenomenal. That's great. And so, I think a question I think a lot of people probably would have watching this either now or sometime in the future is about the pilots. Who's flying me where? What is that process of hiring pilots? Do you do some background checks, I'm sure? What does that process look like?
Sure. So we have a full recruiting program that's really always running at all times. We love to always be recruiting new pilots. And we work with a lot of the local schools. We actually have a scholarship program through Western Michigan.
Oh, cool.
That we fund. But really just working with the flight schools, we like to try to bring in pilots that have some flight instructing background. Pilots that have flight instructing background are great candidates for our program. They're really great with cockpit management. When you've taught, you obviously learn more, right? So the way they come in and the background that they have works really well in our program. But that's not to say you have to be a flight instructor to be here. And the highest time guy isn't always the best guy either.
Sure.
So we really look for good qualifications, 4-year degrees, but they also have to meet the Corporate Eagle criteria of who's the right caliber person to be here at Corporate Eagle, flying Corporate Eagle members.
Sure.
Are they professional? Are they a self-starter? So there's a lot of other things that come along with it that you have to really take all together to find the right Corporate Eagle pilot.
Now, and that makes a lot of sense. Do the pilots, are they employees of Corporate Eagle or are they contractors?
They're all Corporate Eagle pilots are full-time professionals.
Got it.
They come in, they do initial training. We send them to initial simulator training where they actually go out to full motion simulator training. And then after that, twice per year, they go out to full motion simulator training for recurrent. And I say twice per year because all of our pilots are qualified in 2 aircraft types in our fleet.
Okay.
So they either fly King Air Hawker or Hawker Falcon. All of them seem to fly the Hawker because we have the most amount of Hawkers in our fleet. But we never exceed qualifying them across any more than 2 airframes.
Got it.
And
So
all of our pilots are captain qualified pilots as well.
So what does that mean? So captain qualified meaning?
Means you're always going to have captain qualified pilots in the cockpit.
Got it.
You're not going to have somebody that's just trained as a co-pilot.
I see.
It's very important to have that type of experience in the cockpit when you're flying.
Makes a ton of sense. And how many pilots do you guys have on the team now?
We have 38 full-time pilots right now.
Wow.
At this time. And recruiting a few more here in 2021 as our fleet expands.
That's phenomenal.
Yes.
So let's unpack a little bit of how the membership might work a little bit. So, I think there's some options to buy into some different types of shares. And if people are interested, obviously they can reach out to you after this interview to get the details. But, from a high level, what does the membership look like? And I guess, how often can they use the plane? Give us some of those details really quick.
So the smallest share that we offer our members is a 1/8 share. And Corporate Eagle is unique in the way that we divide our fractional ownership. It's a true partnership program. So when I say that as a 1/8 share is 46 days per year access to the fleet.
Okay.
46 days is 1/8 of 365. So
Got
every
it.
day you have an aircraft away from the facility, it's not available for the other members.
Sure.
It counts as a day. So we have different levels of membership from a 1/8 share, 1/4 share in our program. We have members that have 1/8 shares across the fleet. In King Air and Hawker and Falcon, even one member has 8 shares in each aircraft type. So you can buy shares in the aircraft type that meets the mission profile that you have to meet. And then you also have the benefit of you really can, by owning a share in maybe a Falcon and a King Air, you really have 2 aircraft for the different mission profiles that you might have.
Sure.
So that's a benefit of a fractional ownership. every aircraft that's out there has three main cost components. To get into that a little bit, there's capital, there's fixed, and there's operating. The capital being obviously the asset, the cost of that aircraft to purchase it. Now, when you buy a fractional share, you buy your pro rata share of that. Next comes all the fixed costs. So whether the aircraft's in the air or on the ground, it takes cost, right?
Right.
It's ongoing maintenance cost, cost for the hangar, the folks that are maintaining the aircraft, cleaning the aircraft, the schedulers. But again, you're only paying your pro rata share. And then the third and final cost component is the hourly operating cost. So as you fly, the costs that you incur by the hour.
Got it. Makes a ton of sense. And I guess I didn't realize this, but Corporate Eagle, did you say that Rick, the founder of the company, was the one that created this program?
Really is. We were actually the first fractional ownership program recognized by the FAA when they started to recognize the fractional rules in the early 2000s. Corporate Eagle is the first certificated fractional program in the country.
That's incredible.
It really is. It really is.
And the thing that I think that's so incredible about it is when you think about, again, going back a little bit, owning a plane versus buying into these fractional shares, I think that your position, and now I'm understanding more, it makes a lot more sense for somebody to potentially fly this way than having to deal with all the headaches of owning a plane and the pilots and the maintenance and, you know, the certify this, that, and the other thing. That's essentially your business model. Is that right?
That's it. We bring synergy to aircraft ownership.
It's phenomenal. I love it.
Bringing people together to share the cost of the airplane.
Got it. Now, really quick, give us a high-level overview of what the maintenance looks like to keep these planes, you know, functional and up to, I guess, all the regulations.
Sure. Well, there's a lot that goes behind maintaining
I can imagine.
aircraft. Every aircraft we launch from the home base here goes through 167 points of inspection prior to departure. When it comes to the actual aircraft itself, there's maintenance items that are driven by the calendar. There are maintenance items driven by the aircraft hours, meaning the time in flight. And then there's also aircraft maintenance driven by the cycles, meaning, you know, the startup cycles of the engines, the landing gear cycles. So all these different components are driven by different maintenance cycles. So we do all of our own maintenance here in-house at Corporate Eagle. We have full-time maintenance technicians on hand. And, you know, in addition to the regular pre-flighting and day-to-day upkeep of the aircraft, we have, you know, inspections that we're doing hourly. There's inspections that we're doing based on the calendar month. And it just depends on what the airframe type is, whether it's Hawk or King or Falcon, what those intervals are. But we have a full maintenance tracking program that we have to follow. Obviously, there's the FAA guidelines. But, you know, the upkeep of these aircraft obviously is very important. So, you know, we spare no expense there.
That's phenomenal. Now, as we end, you know, 2020, right? 2021 is right around the corner.
Sure.
What is the vision of Corporate Eagle as we move forward?
Keep going.
I love it.
Keep growing.
Yeah.
We're adding 900 XPs to our program. Our Hawker fleet was 6 Hawkers, and we'd like to take that fleet up to 10 Hawkers.
Is that right?
And I think that, you know, we can get very close here in 2021. And we're also, you know, looking at some other aircraft to bring in-house to you know, for wholly managed aircraft as well. So we have some clients that we're working with right now. So we could add some more Falcons or Gulfstreams even to our facility here to manage.
That's phenomenal. Now, if someone's watching this interview, Matt, and they want to, you know, get in touch with you to learn more about the membership, what's the best way for them to reach out?
You know, I love talking to people. Pick up the phone, give us a call. CorporateEagle.com is our website. Obviously, my contact information's on there, phone and email. But I like to talk to people. I like to find out how we can help them. What are their challenges with travel, and what solutions do we have within Corporate Eagle to help them out?
I love it. Well, Matt, thank you so much for having us. You got a beautiful facility, phenomenal company, and I want to thank you again for having us.
Thanks very much.